In this video, I really want to talk kind of about a mindset when it comes to fishing offshore, when it comes to finding offshore structure like humps and ledges and points, or even offshore cover like underwater grass or stumps. Whatever it may be, if it's off the bank, there's a certain mindset that I think you really need to have, which can really simply help you to catch a lot more bass. And it's a very simple concept, but I think that once you kind of really take it on and once you understand it fully, you will be able to fish offshore and find fish offshore a lot better. Now, before we get into that mindset, this video is brought to you by my apparel company, Finn Fishing. It is the week of Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving to all you guys. I'm also running all the Black Friday sales right now over at Finn Fishing, which basically means that almost everything on the website right now is 20% off. So my USA made sun shirts, one of the only ones made in the US, the bass hats with the wooden bass badge, the all new duck shorts, everything is almost, well, except for the rod gloves, are 20% off. And if you can see back there, I just got a ton of rod gloves in. So anyways, I'm gonna leave some links down below in the description. Shopping at Finn Fishing is truly the best way to help support this channel. I greatly appreciate all of you who have done so. Also, thank you to all of you who have simply just watched the videos and viewed the videos. I also really appreciate you as well. All right, let's talk about this mindset. And this mindset really comes from early struggles myself with finding fish offshore. And also it comes from, you know, I've been doing YouTube and a lot of instructional YouTube for a number of years over on BassFishingHQ for almost a full year over on this channel. And I get this comment all the time when it relates to fishing offshore, which is guys say that they just struggle, that they can't really figure out. It's not always that they don't know how to use their grass, it's that they can't simply find bass, or they don't always find them, or whatever it may be. That is what I see a lot. And I can relate to that because early on, I've always loved to fish offshore structure, but I remember early on when I did it, I struggled a lot of days out there trying to really dial in and find these schools that like all of us want to be on. When you see guys just catching them one after another, and it looks like so much fun, and it is so much fun when you can dial it in. But to me, to overcome that, it's really a mindset shift. And right, we talk a lot about simple tips on this channel, but I like to get into the mindset because I really believe that that is what separates a lot of anglers. It's just like football players or any other sports. Like sometimes you can be equally as talented as another guy, but it's what's between the ears which really helps separate you. Now this, what I'm about to tell you, it's not like overwhelming or anything like that. It's simple. It is very, very simple. But again, I think it can help you to fish and find fish offshore. Now, what am I talking about, Tyler? Get to the point. I know that's what some of you guys are saying. So anyways, when we fish offshore structure, we are primarily using our graphs. Nearly 100%, you're sitting behind the wheel and you're looking at your graph and you're looking at your side imaging, your down imaging, whatever it may be. The thing is that you're not fishing, but you may go hours at times literally just sitting there graphing without catching a fish. But when you find fish, typically offshore fishing, you are going to find schools of fish. Not all the time, sure, sometimes you can pick off one here and there, but a lot of times you are looking for a group of bass, whether that is in the middle of winter or in the middle of summer or whatever time of the year it may be. Now, what you really have to think about is that is the goal, and that is also, it's pretty much the exact same thing as fishing in shallow water. But in shallow water, you are fishing. You are not sitting behind a wheel. But when you're fishing in shallow water, the same exact thing happens a lot of times. Instead of sitting behind the wheel though, you are fishing. And a lot of times you fish for a couple of hours without getting a bite. And then you find maybe that one little grass clump, or maybe you find a small little point in the bank or a little indention in the bank, and you catch 2 or 3 or 4 fish in that small little area. It's the exact same thing as fishing offshore. But instead of fishing that whole time, you are sitting behind your electronics and idling the whole time. I think the number one thing that anglers, why they struggle fishing offshore, is that they simply give up too soon. They truly give up too soon. Maybe they sit behind their graph for an hour, which is a long time, but they sit behind their graph for an hour. They haven't found anything. They haven't seen anything that they truly think can hold a bass, and then they resort to the bank. Because if you're fishing the bank, at least you can actually physically get up on the front deck of your boat and start casting at the bank where it feels like you are fishing. But then you end up doing the exact same thing that you were just doing in the bottom of your boat with the graphs. You go a couple of hours a lot of times on the bank without getting a bite until you find that one little zone like we just talked about, that one little area, that one little stretch, that one little dock, whatever it may be. So when it comes to finding fish offshore, I think the mindset is that you just have to realize that if you have 8 hours in a day, you may graph for 6 hours of that day, but it may take you 5 casts to catch a good limit of bass. Now that's for you tournament anglers, but if you're not a tournament angler, it may take you 5 casts to catch a lot of fish, to catch 5 bass. And so to me, the biggest thing that you can do in order to help yourself, and like I said, this is simple, but all of us, I know that this is what I did. Like if I went an hour, 2 hours, even still to this day, even though I know this, there are days where I get on my boat and I know that I'm gonna find fish offshore, and I start graphing offshore. And I find a good looking rock pile, maybe I mark it, maybe I think that there's a little bait fish in the area, and even sometimes I'll get up on the front deck, I make a couple casts, I don't catch any fish, and I do that for 3 hours, and it still can be very disheartening. And you want to go to the bank a lot of times and fish because you will be physically fishing. I don't know if that I'm explaining this as well as it is in my head. But the concept is if you just stick with it, if you understand that you are looking for a group of fish, even if it takes you all day long to do so, it may take just you idling over one spot to completely change your day. And also the other thing, especially if you fish a lot of local lakes, it may take you one day to find a spot that can replenish and you can catch fish on for years to come. That's the other thing that I think a lot of anglers don't always think about, because I know that there are places that I fish to this day with the beautiful Icon boat that I have right now that I found with my 17-foot Javelin in a little 3-inch screen back in, I don't even know when, 2006, 7, when I was in my little Javelin and I was looking at this little screen. Like there's 2 spots on a lake that I fish all the time that are like really good areas. Like they're usually when you catch fish there, you can catch a lot of fish when they get there. They're not always there, but when they get there, you can catch them really good. And I know for a fact I found those in my little Javelin boat. And so still to this day, that one spot is paying off dividends. And so to me, again, this is all a mindset. It is so easy for us as anglers to run to the bank, to fish the bank. And a lot of times, like I said, you end up doing the same thing. You fish on the bank for a couple hours before you find a little wad of fish. When you are idling and you're finding offshore structure, just commit to it. Commit to it. Realize that it may take all day to find one spot. But again, if you find that one spot, it could be a game changer. So again, guys, I know that this is fairly simple, but I think that it is such an easy rut for a lot of us anglers to fall into. And so I thought I would just talk about it. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to check out that fin fishing stuff, and I will see you guys tomorrow.